look, Matt's here. Woo. Matt.
Hey.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How are you all?
Good. So good to see you guys.
Good too. It's been a minute.
All right, Matt, take it away.
Oh, God.
Hello and welcome to the Imelda
Cool.
MarCAST. Our special guest co-host is my better and somehow shorter half in Imelda drummer, Matt Durso, a.k.a. Mateo de Soda Pop. Our guest today playing the bands
what's up?
Complainer, Skin Tags, Fuck Lungs, and Moonrace, and many other projects. We're talking to Mabel and Joe. Finish
Dave.
drinking your
Hey, Matt,
thing
thanks
so we
for
can
having
talk.
us.
Hi. Per Chris D's recommendation of the conformist, I will eat a bag of crunchy items, whole cashews, not that the listeners at home can see, but yeah, whole cashews. So I'm just gonna. So how has your 2020 been? What have you guys been up to?
Not much. Yeah, we've been very isolated this year.
So how sick of each other are you guys?
He proposed to me.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I guess that means that he's not that tired of me and that he wants to double down on isolation
Yeah.
for eternity.
Congratulations, guys.
Thanks.
I said I'll take more of that.
And I was like, all right.
Right
Is
on.
this like the official scoop? Is this like the first public acknowledgement of the Joe Mabel engagement?
This was back in like May, but honestly,
May,
we've been
yeah.
hiding in the shadows for so long that, yeah, I guess so.
What's your favorite dish to cook during these COVID times? What do you guys are excelling at?
Handful of
culinary-wise?
cashews.
Yeah, handful of I will go get a handful of cashews and show you how serious I am about these cashews.
I'm a big baker, so I've just been nonstop cranking out the sweets and the cookies. Besides that, it's really simple comfort food, like just a chicken cutlet we'll eat with like rice and veggies.
But besides that, I make omelets like 3 or 4 times a week. So I've tried to like get good at making omelets. Pretty standard
What do you
breakfast
like to
food.
put in the omelets? What are we talking about here? Protein-wise, veggies, sardines.
Not fish. Pretty vanilla things. Not vanilla, but sausage, bacon, mushroom, green onions. Did peppers a couple times. Cheese. Pretty standard stuff.
What's your breakfast, guys?
I'm more of like a bowl of cereal, like a child, with like a banana. Some coffee.
What cereal?
Yeah, what cereal? That's important.
Yeah, the people
Like,
want to
totally
know.
Unfulfilling, like, yeah. Here's the scoop. Like, I grew up with like my parents wouldn't serve like sugary cereals. Like it's always Raisin Bran or Cheerios, like really boring shit. So I never got used to like Lucky Charms. So I usually eat like boring adult shit that tastes like cardboard kind of.
I like those cereals though. I definitely had a phase where I was eating cereal pretty regularly. Reese's Puff
Fancy.
Puff cereal.
Oh, yeah. You guys remember the Rice Krispie Treats cereal?
Fuck yeah.
See, when I was a kid,
That's
I
top.
ate sugary cereal all the time, which is why I don't like it as an adult anymore, I don't think. I have the aversion to it because
I was a big bagel and cream cheese person.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mabel, I'm glad you're still making pastries because thinking of like the tie-in between pastries and music. Like I've met people in other parts of the country that are like, "Oh, you guys like stayed with Joe and Mabel. Like, did she give you cookies after?"
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like, they're like, those are the best cookies.
And
in
I
the
miss
world.
that. I miss having breakfast with our friends and getting to like hang out after a show and just like eat junk food together and catch up. So this is really nice. Like I really am super introverted, so I haven't been doing a lot of Zoom meetings and having FaceTime with people. So it's so good to see you guys.
No, you guys.
Did
as
you
well.
guys have plans to tour in 2020, like before all this COVID shit happened?
Yeah, we're definitely not alone in this, but our lives were pretty derailed by everything. I was about to accept a job that would have me traveling between different cities. Obviously, the pandemic just dashed all hope of that. We really wanted to go back to Japan. That was something that we were about to just pull the trigger on, start making plans. We were very close. a friend of ours has been teaching English there for the last year. So one of our big goals was to go over there and visit him. And he went to like 90% of all complainer shows in St. Louis. So we felt like since he was there isolated, we just like wanted to come visit him. And that was a big part of our motivation. And yeah, we want to tour the States again, but I think Japan was like something that we were more than likely going to do by the end of 2020.
And you guys have toured Japan in the past, right?
Yeah, just once.
Matt, were you gonna ask something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, what's the appeal for you guys there? Do you more like the place, or do you like the music scene there, or the people? Like, what's the draw for you in Japan?
Everything really. I don't know. We like most music relationships we have. We made a friend via noise rock, playing a house show with this band called An Atomic Whirl. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. They're a two-piece that toured the States pretty extensively a few years back, and half of the band is made up of this wonderful gentleman named Kenji, who we became good friends with, who lives in Tokyo, and he just offered to book us a tour there, and we have the gall to take up people up on offers like that, and just decided to try it out. And it was just a really cool experience. We love everything about Japan that we've been exposed to, and just in terms of the food and the pop culture, and just the country itself is so beautiful and fun. And you've been there as well, right, Dave?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, did you guys play in Kyoto?
Yes, we did.
Did you guys have the okonomiyaki? The savory pancake thingy? Yeah, I miss that so much.
The show we did in Kyoto was based more around this free jazz project we had with the person that booked our tour in Japan. Most of that show were free improvisers and really, really amazing musicians that just totally, maybe you can relate, like before you even play, you feel like the show is over because you've just seen a performance that was so intense. You feel like what you're about to go up there and do is like you feel like a child on stage in comparison. That's the kind of show we had in Kyoto. It was just a great time.
Man, ask another question.
Oh,
don't pretend that there's like lag. Don't pretend you can't.
There is lag though.
Yeah, there is a bit of lag.
When you add a third person to Zoom, it adds like an entire second of lag. I know this from experience. I just recorded an album over Zoom with Kurt Oren, and
we got to witness you guys do live, which was a trip. I'm remembering that Fuck Long show in a basement in Chicago where you telepresently improvised together.
Oh yeah, you were at that show, weren't you?
It was pretty solid.
That was so weird because it was like way past the threshold for any of my neighbors to be accepting of loud sound, and I just had to do it. I never heard anything from any neighbors, but I know that I had to have ruined someone's night from just like starting out of nowhere at 1 a.m. or 1:30 or something. Just
I don't know. I was amazed you all pulled it off. I mean, it was a pretty cool. It was cool to witness. I don't know. I mean, I feel like almost every show we've played there has been canceled for with their neighbors heavy petting. But yeah, I don't know. It was a trip. I've never seen two people do that in different places at a live show. So it felt like a success. But.
Cool. I'm glad to hear that it came off like in a positive way, that it wasn't like you're just sitting there and you feel embarrassed for me or
No, not at all, man.
Tell us more about this Zoom collab album with Kurt.
There wasn't a whole lot of planning involved. I had my upstairs neighbor multi-track my drum kit so I could get, a pretty clean, solid recording of my drums, because I didn't know what Kurt was going to be working with. And I think Kurt just used like an SM58. There was Kurt's signal has a lot of interference and pops and like wind, but it's been a lot of fun for me. I'm I'm working on the recording and doing different things with the saxophone. Like I've converted the sax to MIDI on all of the tracks. So some of what Kurt is playing is being expressed by these digital instruments. There are sections that will like bust into like a completely different kind of like synth sound and then come back into the live sax recording. And yeah, I'm excited to share it when it's done. It's going to be called Fuck Lungs 98.
Awesome.
Why 98? Oh, like Windows 98?
That's what Kurt said. For me, the year 1998 holds like a lot of significance. I don't know. I just decided one day that I wanted to make an album called Fuck Lungs 98, and that it would be the pandemic album that we would do over Zoom. And that's pretty much it. But yeah, the recording's not very exciting. We just did it over Zoom. We each recorded our own things, and then Kurt sent the files over Google Drive, and I just synced them up. And since then, I've been scrambling them.
When do you think it's going to come out?
I'm not sure. I'm going to have to set a deadline for myself. I don't really get things done unless I set a deadline. I think it's at least half done. We did a streaming show a couple weeks ago for Kenji, who booked our Japan tour. I used like the work in progress for the music, and then I did live visuals for the stream. I've been working on live visuals a lot during this time in isolation, so that I can hopefully do live visuals for shows.
How are you generating like live visuals? Are you doing like live footage? Are you doing like animation that's recycled, or like things you made?
It's kind of like like if you're making electronic music and you're doing samples, you're like looking for samples that you can use kind of out of context that aren't an immediate callback to something that's familiar. And I'm trying to do something similar with video footage where I'm using things that I think are interesting visually, but that aren't an immediate signal to something that's recognizable. Ideally, when this is brought into a live space, the idea is that the effects and what's happening visually is reactive to the sound. That's the most important thing to me, so that it's better than just pressing play. Because otherwise, like,
Yeah, for sure.
You could just prepare footage and press play. That's cool. That can definitely add a lot to a performance too. But I wanted to kind of take it a step further and use like VJ software.
That makes sense. And like, have you been gaming, or are you still, like, I know you guys take interest in whole from games and animation and stuff. Like, have you been gaming a bunch during this year, or like?
Yeah, I've definitely played more video games this year, I think, than any other year.
Yeah, getting a projector is kind of a game changer.
Oh, nice.
That's, if you want to know what we did with our stimulus bucks.
Yeah, no,
That sounds like a good use.
oh,
Yeah, getting a projector and playing like Sega Saturn, like pixel perfect Sega Saturn on a projector is pretty wild.
that's awesome. I'll go ahead, Dave.
No, I'm happy letting Matt do all the work this episode. No, I'm kidding. Mabel, tell us about skin tags. What's going on with y'alls?
Well, we send each other cute animal videos on a regular basis to kind of boost morale. We haven't really been doing anything, honestly, since our album came out. It feels like forever ago, June 2019. We've been practicing up until, of course, the lockdown happened. And that band's always really been a lot more about just like the sort of friendship and support network that was sort of established. And it's really sad. We would love to be able to hang out and play music together. And our drummer is immunocompromised, so of course we have to wait till we're all vaccinated till that can happen again. But yeah, we still chat on a regular basis and share music with each other. And yeah, who knows what form it'll pop up again. And in the future, we've been talking about reconfiguring it and trying some different things. So maybe that'll happen in the next sort of go.
Right on. So like the origin of that band was more, you're all just friends and kind of decided, oh, maybe we should do music together.
Yeah, for me, I really wanted to start a new project. And I'm not sure if this is accurate, but I don't think that Lucy or Shelley had played in bands that weren't with dudes too. So it was kind of about getting these like strong female forces together and seeing what we could create. And that was sort of the initial idea. And then we just, I don't know, it became like a weekly excuse for us just to hang out together. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to getting to spend time with them again, and that dynamic of just working with other people and seeing what ideas can come out of just hanging out and trying some stuff out in a room together.
Yeah, there's like a certain joy to hanging out in a practice space that's you don't get from like hanging out outside of it, even if you're friends with people.
For sure.
Something special. And I guess what I'm saying is, Matt, I value your
Oh,
friendship and partnership
oh man,
in the band.
that's very sweet. Thank you.
Have you guys been able to hang out at all throughout this period?
We have. We've actually had some recent practices with masks. Being a two-piece, I think, and our space is largely abandoned for good reason. So it feels somewhat low risk, and you know, we'll obviously take a couple weeks off if anybody has a run in or anything. But yeah, I mean, it's been awesome to get in the room and just make stupid inside jokes, and then occasionally work on some stuff. And yeah, I don't know. That's how I've been staying sane, I guess, is just either playing with Dave or playing on my own time, and just I don't know. It's kind of a constant.
How often have you been able to play drums just yourself?
Honestly, like we some of our previous like roommates found a new space, so we ended up having pretty free range to our practice space. So I'd say I go in probably like 4 or 5 times a week, either with Dave or just by myself. And just
That's great. That's really
mean,
cool.
I know you have a space in your home where you can play in your basement, which is equally good. But yeah, like I'm in an apartment too.
That's one of the benefits to living in St. Louis, and is that there are a lot of spaces here, or a lot of buildings here that have basements that are spacious enough to set up, that aren't totally flooded. Or don't get me wrong, we deal with flooding in our basement actually pretty often, but it never gets so bad that we can't keep gear set up and go down and play on a regular basis. And we're blessed with some pretty kind and considerate neighbors that kind of just know that this is what we do and this is a part of our lives. Some of our neighbors even claim that they like it.
And they're in the 60+ range, so
Yeah.
we're not sure if it's true or not, but they're so sweet. And yeah, we're really fortunate to have the space. And
Mabel made sure to make them cookies for Christmas.
That did it.
We'll say that.
Now that's a great demographic to tap into because they have that disposable income, all that retirement money they could just spend on like cassettes and stuff.
I've been thinking about physical media a lot this year and how I don't even really value it anymore. That said, we have a record that's going to come out sometime in 2020. This was one of the things that was supposed to come out, and then the pandemic hit, and we decided, instead of trying to put out this record in the midst of everyone being isolated in their homes, and like how are we gonna convince people that this record is something that they need or even want?
yeah, it's just a box of really expensive, flimsy paperweights at this point. But it's a project that we were really excited to put together. It's just sort of like culmination of things. And it's
That's dope.
That looks super rad. I feel bad for the audio only listeners. Yeah.
So when this record does come out, it's going to be a fundraiser for Stray Rescue St. Louis, and it's a split between Complainer and Moonrace, and Mabel also plays saxophone on the Moonrace side.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be an homage to kind of early Skin Graph Records 7-inch comic book sets. Our friend Curtis, who plays in Moonrace, and does all of Complainer's art, is making this comic book that's about our dog in space, if you couldn't gather from the context of the label. So it's just kind of a fun project we wanted to do, and if the awesome people already did, of course, we're agreeable to helping us get that out eventually. And but yeah, as most things happened in 2020, it's just like on the back burner for the time being.
Yeah,
No, that's awesome.
what I'm hearing is that you guys have not been that lazy during 2020.
Arguable. We are, because we're blessed with this space and the proximity of getting to live together and practice in our own home, like that can be a blessing and a curse because sometimes you just never get down in the basement to play. But yeah, we've been able to cope a lot with everything that's going on by making loud noise whenever we really want or need to. And so we've been working on a lot of new music, but kind of with no end game in mind necessarily, just kind of trying to put together a set.
This entire situation has really sucked out any motivation. People aren't reaching out to us, asking us about Complainer. You're literally the first person to want to really talk to us for any reason. uh,
Pandemic or not.
yeah. No, I mean, really last year, we were radio DJs for over a decade. We left the radio show last summer, and our goal with that was to kind of have a smaller role in the music community. Like, we've booked many shows, helped run spaces, have done annual fundraisers, radio show. We both have been music journalists and assistant music editors at publications. And so we were already kind of purposefully diminishing our roles in the music community as a means of just trying to get back our sanity and trying to focus on our own music and things that we want to make. Because I think when you're creating and you're also involved in media and you're really focusing on other people's art, I think that a lot of external ideas, I think that those things influence your work. So it actually has been very liberating to work on music outside of the context of this greater music community that we have been plugged into so deeply for so long. So our music is pretty different now, I would say, even in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I was curious. I mean, that you guys are so deeply involved in St. Louis in so many ways. What this year would be like for you guys. But it's interesting to hear that you're kind of just really tapping into what you yourselves want to do and just acknowledging that it's kind of like a part of your lives, regardless of if you're going to shows or promoting things or not. You guys just seem to be makers. And
Why don't you talk about like what we're doing with the band now?
So I've been playing baritone guitar for the last year. So that's kind of shifted our sound a little more in the direction that I think that I have personally always wanted it to go in. And that is kind of trying to seek that lower end and filling out that space. And yeah, we've just been playing what I feel is kind of like dark punk and still in the realm, I think, of noise rock, but really just simple songs that we think are personally fun to play that don't get tiresome to play over and over again.
Yeah, we're tired of being stressed out when we're performing. So, um, I mean, that's the reality. Is that when you are making challenging music, whether it's like actually challenging or it's just super loud and abrasive and kind of challenging to listen to sometimes.
Yes, I'd say it's become a little less aggressive. Like this band has always been very much a coping mechanism for just dealing with daily frustrations of life and of course the political and social atmosphere that we are currently all, at the mercy of. We've sort of kind of chilled it out and it's less reactive and more we're looking internally to just like what makes us feel good, what makes us have fun when we get down and are able to make this loud noise and sort of like bask in the sort of volume and tone of everything, if that makes sense.
The music is a lot more simple than before. The structure is almost every song you can set a metronome and the song can just sit on one beat that never changes. And that's the goal with a lot of songs, is that there aren't a lot of stops. There aren't a lot of time changes within the same song. I don't think with any of our songs now.
But how
It is
will
all
people
just-
know that you're good at your instruments if you're not playing a shit ton of notes and parts?
No one ever said we were good at our
Yeah.
instruments. How about you guys? What sort of direction are you moving in these days?
No, I mean,
Matt, go answer it.
It's interesting you say that because I think we're going in a similar direction. I mean, I think Dave made a point of saying, you know, he's kind of tired of just any structural device that is intentionally made to be like, oh, look at how weird this is, or how look at the acrobatics that we can perform, you know. And I mean, there's obviously something amazing when you see a band do something kind of crazy that you can't process immediately, but like I think we're trying to tap in more into just what feels good and like what's satisfying to play. And we've also been thinking about trying to incorporate vocals, so I think we've been trying to make things a little more sparsely so that we're not trying to fill up all this space.
Which one of you? Both of you?
Oh, totally, Matt. He's ripping off Lightning Bolt.
No way. No, we're looking at a potential extra person.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah, we loved your last album.
Yeah,
We played the heck out of it on the radio right before we jumped ship.
Oh, well, thanks so much for that, guys. That means a lot to us.
Every time I booked you in St. Louis, the only thing I could think of to tell people is that like you're underrated. Like when you see this band, you won't understand how you haven't heard of them before. And I think that was pretty apt. I mean, we definitely had some, like, you've played some cool shows in St. Louis, but I still think that you've never played in front of the kind of audience that you really deserve. Your band does something that a lot of bands aspire to and don't quite get there, where you have this really wide range of influences included just in a single 30-minute set that, I don't know, I feel like I'm listening to
Shitty Hella.
I feel like I'm listening to a band's like journey of music rather than like a snapshot of like what you're into this past year or something like that. Like I feel like there is absolutely no adherence to trend or what is the hip thing to do at the time.
That's super awesome of you to say all that. I mean, I think partially by not having much, you know, commercial air quotes success, you're kind of free. I feel like we've been really free
From having money. Am I right, Matt? High five.
Right, high five. No, but you really are free to try like whatever you're excited by. Like the idea of if you're just making it for yourself and for your own gratification, you know, then it's kind of like there's no pressure to follow a trend. But I also think that we've had some of our best shows in St. Louis. Like I guess it's funny you say that because we always love coming to St. Louis because that's always by far the most the best crowd, the best people, just like such a good environment. So I don't know.
It's definitely our favorite place to play on tour, no doubt.
You guys will always be welcome here, of course, and hopefully not too distant future.
Yeah, I mean, if you keep stroking the egos of all the musicians in St. Louis by inviting them to talk on your podcast.
Yeah, it's pretty much a St. Louis podcast with like a few exceptions.
We've really enjoyed the episodes that we've listened to. We've listened to Chris D, Chris Troll, and Sean O'Connor. I think that's all I've heard. Have you listened to any of?
We caught up all over those in the last couple of weeks.
St. Louis represent.
I really enjoyed the hearing Sean O'Connor talk about the songwriting process in Yowie, because it made me. I mean, I've talked to him about this for the last decade. I have actually written thousands and thousands and thousands of words about Yowie for publication. So I have a very privileged perspective as a Yowie fan. It was funny to hear Sean talk about the process in Yowie because we do the reverse. Our songs always start off more complicated and busier like these days when we're writing something, the drums always have like way, way, way more polyrhythms and things going on. And then throughout the songwriting process, we simplify and simplify and simplify. So what you'll hear from us at the end of this pandemic, hopefully, is the most simplified version of what we can do while still retaining what we think complainers should sound like.
I think most bands have the opposite approach of Yowie, which is not to say that the Yowie approach is wrong, but it's a lot of work. And I imagine most people, including myself, don't have the intellectual fortitude to do that 3 times a week.
I think to an extent you have to have a really, really lofty goal. You almost have to be a little unrealistic with yourself. I was in a band for a little while that tried to follow that ethos of Yowie, and it was like ultimately it made everybody unhappy. Specifically when Yowie broke up in St. Louis, it was not a surprise to me, not because of any person being unagreeable or anything like that. I think that the members of that band work together really well. I think that anybody trying to attempt that level of, I don't know, maybe perfectionism is the best word to use, but I don't think it's entirely accurate. But anyone trying to aspire to that, I think is asking for a lot of frustration. And I think it's particularly demanding of people and really demands this high level of patience that is really unnatural. I think, especially in today's world where we have these like screens that give us access to everything immediately. I think making that music is a lost art, and Sean O'Connor is a saint for having done it for so long and continuing to do it.
Yeah, I'm glad he does it because I could not even attempt to try that. So someone's got to do it, and he's the man.
Yeah. I think when you get to a certain level, there's diminishing returns. When you're working on music like that, there's like a certain level where you can work a lot harder and get just a little bit more out of it. It's like squeezing blood from a stone, you know? And Sean is the person to do that. And I have attempted it once in my life. Never again, I don't think.
You guys had some amazing, recordings. So, it seems like you really had that vibe going, but I can totally understand that the process can be, if it's not fun for you, ultimately it's kind of like, why are we doing it? But like,
and honestly, my bandmates in that band moved on to other projects that they found so much more, I think, of what they were looking for. I was happy to take a math rock detour with them, but if you haven't stayed up on Alex Cunningham, he released a really cool album this year, and Sean, who was in that band, is also in Glued, and they've done a couple records that are really good.
That's awesome too. So I feel like Sean O'Connor kind of set out this spectrum of like being analytical to being like intuitive, where he kind of falls more on the analytical side. When you guys are writing, would you say like where kind of in that spectrum do you find yourself falling now? Do you like to kind of like jam and let things congeal, or do you sit down, like you said, with like graph paper and work out ideas?
Complainer is a very simplistic band, rock and roll band, I guess. So it really is just about jamming and feeling it out these days, especially.
Sorry, our dog is very sick. Peach is very sick. She has developed this very visceral cough. So if we seem to pause or suddenly look off screen.
Oh dang, how long have you guys had her?
2009. So long time.
Yeah, she's 13 and a half.
Well, we wish her well.
You hear that, Peach?
Did you guys give her the name Peach, or was that always her name?
Yeah, we gave it to her. Her original
Nice.
name was Roxy.
That sucks. Roxy's a shitty name.
Isn't it? She didn't even respond to it, too. Like, you would say the name, and it was like it didn't even exist. So we decided on Peach. She looked like a peach.
David, was it the same for you with your dog Ham?
Yeah, so I think, how long was it? Maybe 2 years ago, the wife and I adopted a pit bull rescue. Her name, I guess her given name is Rush, which is stupid. So we named her Hamon, or Ham for short.
That's
She's
cute.
great. Yeah, she likes her farts smell like spoiled milk. She likes to just like put her butt up against you, and she's really been into trying to hump me lately, which is I looked it up online, and apparently dogs just do that if they're bored. So I guess she's bored. I don't know.
So it's not like a dominance thing.
Well, I definitely think that she thinks she's the top dog.
Okay.
Peach really loves cats. And so when we have let Peach get up close to a cat, that is the eventual course of action she likes to take, is to hump the cat.
You're embarrassing her. She's right there.
Yeah, she looks embarrassed.
No shame. I mean, it's the pandemic. We were all passing the time, you know.
I got a new drum kit recently. Moved to smaller jazz sizes, like 20-inch kick, and I've tried to get better at tuning drums. So that's gone a long way in making drum parts that are melodic. Mabel will come up with riffs. A lot of times for us, and I know this is a fairly common way of writing songs, we'll just go down and jam. And once something starts to feel good, we'll record it with our phone real quick. And then Mabel will iterate upon that and write out a song based on the jam, basically. From there, once a structure is decided on, I try to basically just keep the beat and then write melodic parts within a really, really basic beat. That is kind of the process that we've been going through all year. Hopefully it will translate to songs that are more memorable and songs that are just easy to listen to despite the volume that we still insist on working with volume and with a pedal board, a really thick full sound.
So here's a question for you drummers. When you tune drums, are you tuning it relative to the guitar or just relative to each other? Or like, does that make sense?
What do you do, Matt?
I don't tune to like the song, you know. I don't tune to Dave,
Oh, well, geez.
progression, but I couldn't even tell you, like, I don't even know enough about the actual pitches. I'm more just trying to find something that feels like a meaningful interval so that you can create these kind of melodic moments like you're describing. But no, I've never tried to tune to like a specific song, for example.
Like certain toms, like a floor tom is going to have this like optimal range, right? So you can pick something within that range. And really, I think the best approach is to try different things, because certain drums will sing really at certain tunings. And since I decided to get this jazz kit for the toms and the kick drum, at least, I went with some jazz tunings that I found online. I'm using a tune bot to help me get the readings at least consistent. I don't know how accurate, like I've heard conflicting ideas on how accurate a tune bot can really be. And depending on how you tune each head, you can get a wildly different sound from a drum. If you tune the heads to be the same note, you will get something that resonates forever. It's that one sound, and it just goes on and on and on, especially if you have like a good drum that isn't warped or damaged or cracked or something. But if, for instance, you tune the batter head a little bit lower and the resonant head a little higher, that tone that you're getting once you hit the drum, you really get like a rising tone. You get something that, instead of just this constant note that rings out until it decays, you get it decays up into this other tone. So in the context of guitar, can cut through the sound better than something that's just tuned to an open tuning, which is both heads being the exact same.
Does that type of drum tuning necessitate, like when you guys go into the studio, that you have to mic the bottom head then?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, it just depends on the engineer. One of the things that really opened my eyes to tuning by pitch and to being more conscious of the general sound is when we went to the studio for that 7-inch we showed you earlier. I didn't actually bring my own drum kit because the engineer told me about the drums that he had there, and they were so much nicer than what I owned. So I said, yeah, I would love to just play on that kit. I'll bring my snare, whatever. And he was using a tune bot and tuning everything up when we got there, and just the tone of the drums sounded so good. And of course the drums were nicer, so you could hear it better. I mean, that's kind of the difference that you get from cheap drums to things that kind of cost you a little bit more money, is that you get those pitches so much more clearly, and the way you tune is consistent. So seeing that in a studio on drums that weren't my own really opened my eyes to the advantages that you get from treating your drums like an instrument and not just something that you hit.
Was that weird for you playing like a recording though on someone else's kit? Like I'm always kind of thrown a little off. There's something unfamiliar, you know, about it.
Yeah, it was a huge mistake actually.
First time in a truly pro studio.
Yeah, we really wanted to do we wanted this record to sound special, and I just made a huge mistake by not going in there with my own drums. But I learned something in the process. I learned how much tuning your drums and getting the sound that you want, how much it elevates what you're doing to a degree that I can't really describe. I mean, you can play drums like Zach Hill if you want, or like Brian Chippendale. Those people are really special. They can have like dead tunings on some of their drums, or they can use any drum and make it sound good just because of their ability to play so forcefully. Like if you hit a head really hard, you can get a pretty cool sound out of it depending on the type of music that you're playing. But for most drummers, subtlety will do a lot more than striking the head as hard as possible.
No, I always imagine like, what if you put those guys on an amazing sounding kit with that totally unique manner of playing. I think it could sound even better. You know, sometimes it drives me crazy to hear. Like I love the simplicity and the forwardness of just like, oh, I've been using the same kit my whole life, and like I'm gonna tune up this snare to its highest pitch possible just so it cuts through. But like I was like, ultimately they could make those things sing in a totally different way. So I always wonder, translating that style to a really nice piece of equipment.
In a way, it's a gimmick, but gimmicks aren't bad. Now, if you have a gimmick and you can execute at the highest level of what you're trying to do with that gimmick, it doesn't really matter if you can do it with it or without it. Like if you have the tools and you know how to use them to get a desired effect, or you have figured out this really amazing sound on your own, and you can consistently execute it, I don't see any problem behind it. It's like people with gigantic pedal boards. Some people buy gigantic pedal boards because it's fun. Some people use a pedal board and they might as well be playing the pedal board as much as they're playing their guitar. And that to me is amazing. That to me is like, I think about like Nick Reinhardt from Terramellos, who created an entire sound around not just the amazing things he can do on guitar, but he's tap dancing on a pedal board while he's playing. And there's a range there that is just, you can't get that without this high level of understanding of sound modeling and the ability to move your feet as well as you move your fingers on a fretboard.
Dave, what do you have to say about pedals?
Pedals.
Your overall mentality, because I've been witnessing him slowly evolve into in our practice room.
So, I mean, I started out not being into pedals because I had no money. But I think for me, I mean, I jokingly like to think that buying pieces of gear fills a gap in my soul. So I feel warmer by buying this shit that is going to be a pain in the ass to lug to shows and then troubleshoot when something doesn't work. Yeah, pedals can do different things than a straight up electric guitar, and I think that's why I'm starting to use pedals now. And because I love showing up to practice and trying to tell Matt what a pedal does, and he'll start playing over me talking. Well, this pedal is like a 6-band graphic EQ, and what this could do is Matt doesn't care about my gear. It's for us, bro.
Yeah.
Not for me, it's for us, for the band.
I love pedals because I just consider them to be another instrument. And to me, Mabel plays 4 instruments in Complainer. I just play the drums. Mabel plays pedals, guitar, vocals, and saxophone.
Do you think it's more, Mabel, is it more like the pedals or your amplification? Like which is more crucial to kind of how you shape the sound for you?
Yeah, what's the Mabel sound?
We've been really working with that, and I think we finally have landed where we theoretically wanted to be, and just kind of creating a really warm tone. It's the combination of the baritone guitar that I'm using. It's a Squire modified Jazzmaster and 2 tube amps. We have a Fender Twin Reverb and a DeVille, and just this combination of delay, fuzz, overdrive, and distortion. It seems like a lot, but it's kind of split up. We have a micropog that sort of kind of fleshes out that lower end even more. We have it running a lower octave coming out through the DeVille. So it sounds to us like we want it to sound, but it's so hard to know without actually having a recording or any sort of feedback from anyone else. Like it sounds great and feels good to us in the basement. But what do you think, Jack?
The twin reverb, I believe we turn it up a little bit, and then we try to keep the Fender DeVille pushing a little bit more of the low end. So she doesn't use a chorus pedal because that already gives you a natural chorus effect. The use of different distortions, you're getting these different types of distortion, so you can have a more subtle variation in the sound. So we're playing loud guitar music, but the idea is to lessen the exhaustion of what's happening, like if you're listening to a record or if you're seeing it live. And that's what it achieves, more so than like, oh, this is the crazy part of the song, let's turn on the super shifter, let's like that stuff is cool, but that's just like not what we're going for with this project.
Mabel, how much of a learning curve was there to trying to work baritone guitar into the Complainer process? And then follow-up question, what's your relationship with guitar tunings?
There actually was not a learning curve. So the reason I kind of decided to get a baritone is because I had picked up this violin bass just for funsies. We had talked a little bit about me possibly playing bass in Moonrace. We started writing songs on it for fun and kind of realizing that like, yeah, this kind of lower sort of tone is what we're after. It's a standard sort of tuning, so it's a perfect fifth lower. So I'm mostly just doing power chords and doing simple riffs and things like that. So there was not really much of a learning curve. It felt more natural to play those riffs on a baritone than it even ever did on my Fender Mustangs that I've always played for many years.
It was like something we should have done years ago, probably. It felt like a really like aha light bulb over the head moment when she first plugged that baritone guitar in. It was just like, this is what we've been trying to emulate with some pedals over the years in amps, and like it would have made things easier, I think, in the past for us.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it totally does. I guess also like over the course of doing Complainer, has your tuning been more or less the same, or are you someone who's interested in like messing around with different tunings?
I've always just played in standard.
Oh, nice. I always like when people play in standard.
But not anymore.
Oh, that's right.
Not much of a deviation, I should say.
Matt, follow-up questions.
No, I'm stoked to hear this new batch of recordings. I can tell kind of like from your vibe, you guys feel really good about like kind of where you've ended up.
I think the struggle now is we haven't done vocals in about a year. on anything. So now there will be like another layer of adjusting, because some of these songs, doing vocals while playing them, that's not going to be easy.
Oh yeah, I'm lousy at it.
I wouldn't say that. I would say just it's hard to sing and play at the same time. I sing on the first Complainer tape on 1 or 2 songs, and I don't think I ever want to do that again. It was just when it came time to play that stuff live, it was just
You're being very
that's
encouraging right now.
but trying to play drums and do those things, I just don't have the breath control. It
I
really
don't know how it's done, man. I've never been able to do it myself, and it's totally daunting. I mean, it's like having a fifth limb at the same time, you know?
Yeah. I can't even keep my left foot consistent. Like if I just want to keep time on the hi-hat, I still can't do that. That is like a rudimentary beginner level drum thing that I can't do. So yeah, for me, I, I have to like go backwards a bit before I can go forward into something like singing while playing. Also, I guess I would have to learn how to sing too.
Proper singing's overrated.
Says you're not
Yes, the guy who doesn't sing at all. Actually, do you sing in Dave also has like a metal project on the side that you were singing for me.
Oh, yeah, it started out, the intention was for me to do guitar and vocals, and then the drummer pitched a vocalist to us, and we tried it out, and it worked, so I'm no longer doing vocals. It's one less thing to do, so it's better. We
Yeah.
played one show, and I did vocals at the same time, and it's a lot of work. I found myself readily out of breath. I'm sure that has to do with the fact that I vape too much, but it's too much work. I was like gasping for air, like mid-song. It's not fun.
I think another step for us too is figuring out how to turn the guitar volume down a little bit now that I'm using smaller drum shells, so that things can like coalesce a little better. Like everything we're doing now is just based around hooks. Like almost every part of every song is like a hook.
So you're saying on record that the new Complainer will be the hookiest Complainer album ever?
Mabel?
I didn't say anything. That was your mouth.
The goal really ultimately is to make something that we would listen to maybe 4 or 5 years from now, when we're a little bit more separated from the music and we're working on some different things, something we can listen to and feel a kinship with. I don't know, do you listen to any of your old music and feel great about it?
No.
I don't think that it's like that for every musician. I think some musicians have a body of work that they don't absolutely have complicated feelings about. I think that's
weird.
more. Yeah, they are weird. I want to be one of those people eventually. So I think the big aspiration, no matter what project it is, I think I feel that way about one of the Fuck Lungs albums, and I feel that way about this album that we recorded in Japan with Kenji, the free jazz trio, which is just our last names, Hess, Suen, and that one in particular is something that I've probably listened to 20 times since we put it out, and I love it every time. So I want to feel that way about records that we put out in the future. So I think the goal is effort and not overthinking it.
I have a question for all of you guys. So as Joe and I are putting together these songs, the question constantly in my head is like, what the hell are we making? I'm not really sure what this is or how other people will perceive it. What to you guys is noise rock in 2021?
I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like we don't typically operate. We're not necessarily thinking about, is this noise rock or not, when we're writing, but we do often go in with like a weird amalgamation in mind. Like what if Swans and Flying Lotus did an album together? Like, what would that sound like? Or, or Portishead and like Deftones or something like.
I like that one better because I'm not a huge fan of Flying Lotus, but
I was just shooting from the hip. But yeah, I don't know if we're thinking in terms of, like, is this noise rock? Is this like, because, that comes with certain limitations too. I mean, like, it has to be heavy, it has to be, and then there's a lot of references, a lot of points of reference that you're like, does this remind me of the greater scheme of noise rock or not? I don't know. I don't know. Dave, what do you think, man?
Well, one, how dare you oversimplify our process, which is unique and uncategorizable?
It still requires
noise rock?
hashtag
Yeah.
on Bandcamp.
Yeah, we are prisoners of the hashtag.
I know, it's really sad. Like, I never, like, I guess first, like, I would only, like, tangentially consider Imelda noise rock. And we only thought about that once we were recording the second record, where the engineer is like, yeah, this isn't math rock, it's like weird noise rock. I'm like, I guess you're right. And that tag seemed to be a better fit, especially considered in comparison to like the Tappa Tappa Twinkle Daddy math rock, because we're definitely not that. But yeah, the hashtag thing, yeah, we're all truly prisoners of it. It stinks, but you got to describe it as something.
Yeah, I think what just happens with these genres over time is that more and more people identify by them. I mean, every day there are new bands, right? So, and there are probably more new bands that are created than there are bands that break up on a daily basis. So by just the natural order of things, every genre or every hashtag or category becomes more expanded, right, by the minute. So what we maybe have thought of as math rock, which would be a pretty limited definition based on like early 90s or maybe stuff dating back to the mid 80s of just like jagged, more dissonant, heavier stuff. The definition was greatly expanded. I mean, obviously by a lot of Chicago bands like Piglet, American Football, and stuff like that. Like there are like now all these different pillars and variations. So the definition has become more broad over time. And I just think that it's also true of noise rock now, where things that we would have just called indie rock 10 years ago are just also now called noise rock. And the same thing goes for indie rock. Like the definition was much more limited in the 90s, but now indie can mean like a 50 million different variations on the sound. So I think really what you have to ask yourself is, are you purposefully holding yourself to being in a niche genre for no reason? Or are you fighting against the broadening of a definition, which includes more people? And if you are, why are you doing that? Like, why are you feeling offended by a math rock meaning Twinkle Daddy? Like, who cares? Yeah. Like, that's fine. If that expands the number of types of bands that I'm going to play with, if I'm in that genre, then that's only a good thing. It's more diverse, at least.
Have you guys encountered in your career as a two-piece iteration of your project a lot of that being a genre?
Two-piece?
Yes.
Good Lord, can we talk about that?
Yeah.
I like it for the same reasons that I just said. I don't really mind the broadening of the definitions. So I like to see.
Like, it's nice to get the facile comparison to Hella and Lightning Bolt. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, fuck those guys. But it's like, that's not, I don't think we sound like them. But yeah, if you're going to put us in the same sentence as them, we'll take it. They're good. People seem to like those bands. They're solid bands.
I mean, I do like the format, and I think it's interesting to see what just two people can do.
We're more like the Black Keys and White Stripes and Helen Lightning Bolt. Let's be real. Exactly.
I feel like we're definitely closer to to that nowadays. I like duos because there's an inherent challenge there. The second you add a third member to your band, you open up so many more possibilities. If music is a game and you're playing, two-piece is definitely the hard setting, because solo you can, like, there's anything you can do, right? You can play, you can partially record some of your music and play to it. Hell, you can make this great dance music, grab a microphone and jump around on stage, and people are down with that. Like, that is acceptable as a solo artist, which is cool. In three-piece is just like, it's perfect in almost every genre. Just three individuals making what they're making. It's like the most amount of possibilities with the least amount of people. But when you go down to a two-piece, you are required to do certain things to make a complete product, or you're required to have a virtuoso level of skill to pull off certain things.
Yeah, I mean, It is easy to. I will say it's easy to schedule practice. It's easy.
That's
to
the only. That's
or
all you get. That's the only advantage you get. That's it.
And you could tour out of like a 4-door sedan.
We have
Oh,
done
yeah.
a Mini Cooper.
Oh wow, shit.
That's. I mean, it's
Were you
what we
borrowing gear like along the way, or
No, we were playing at a 115 amps back then, so let's not talk about it.
yeah, two 115 combo amps, a Fender Princeton and like a Sun Alpha or something, and then I had just the shittiest drums, like
Did we like Russian doll them?
yeah, we like no resonant heads, Russian doll drum kit, hi-hat bent up so bad it doesn't go up or down, it's just it sits there, it's there. It is what it is. Cracked cymbal. I've always had a pretty good sounding snare. I've been lucky with that though. But yeah,
man. Yeah.
Matt, do you have any final questions for Mabel and Joe? I only say that because I have to use the restroom and then jump off to do another mini podcasting in like a few minutes.
Oh dang, man.
It has to be good. Don't disappoint us.
Oh,
No. I just want to say it's good to see you guys, and man, it's been such a drag not being able to play shows and see shows and just hang out with all of you guys. I'm super stoked for some light at the end of this tunnel, but it's good to see you guys are well, and yeah, I don't have any questions.
That wasn't a question.
How do you feel about what I just said?
There you go. Okay. Thank you,
Dave.
Matthew.
Dave, you got to pick up the slack. We've been listening to this podcast. We've been like, wow, Dave is great at this, and we're expecting some of those deep questions, those hard hitting questions.
Dude, I like handicapped him because he's like, oh, I can relax.
Yeah. All right. So let's do like a lightning round.
Yeah, we're ready for
All
it.
right. Hold on. Let me look at my
Yeah, that's what I
notes. In 2 sentences, tell us what it was like to record with Jörg Schneider in Germany.
I picked the pieces of the drum set that I used for that recording out of a gigantic indoor swimming pool that was filled with 20 drum kits. And I puked on the second day of recording.
Why did you puke?
Flawless.
they really like beer in Germany. I'm not sure.
I've heard that about Germans. Yes.
I'm not a beer drinker, but since we were in Germany, I was drinking the beer of choice. So we hung out with a pretty renowned audio engineer during that session. It was Jorg's childhood best friend who has since passed away. His name's Guido Lucas, and he was drinking a lot of beer, and we were sharing beer together, and I really overdid it, and I had a delayed jet lag. I didn't get jet lag until a couple days into recording, so it all kind of hit me at once. And again, playing on a drum kit that I've never played on before, very, very weird experience.
You just keep doing that no matter where we go.
Yeah.
Did you throw up onto the drum kit like mid take?
No.
Oh.
I hung out in a very, very luxurious bathroom. Jorg's mother is like the queen of Hugelhoven. Like, she has this amazing, it's this architectural wonder of a house.
That she designed herself.
Yeah,
She's such a cool lady.
It really is incredible. It's this incredible house. And like I said, indoor swimming pool filled with drum kits, and the recording studio was in the laundry room.
Yeah, Jorg is just awesome. We love him.
Tape machine. We recorded over some old Jealousy Mountain Duo tapes, and you can hear it if you listen to our album in headphones. Like when the songs, anytime we do like a ring out at the end of a song, if you listen really closely, you can hear like the drums. You can hear Jorg's drums. Like if you're familiar with Jealousy Mountain Duo, you can definitely hear his like melodic pitter patter barely underneath like these sections with transients on the recording.
What a cool artifact to have in a recording.
Yeah, that was a crazy experience, and I think it's one of the last sessions that Guido Lucas mastered before he passed away.
Have you guys ever recorded Complainer with to a click track?
No, but since the new songs, since having a constant like through beat has kind of been non-negotiable, we have been able to play to a metronome to decide on tempos, and it's been really good for us to realize how much space we're taking up. So yeah, I mean we just never recorded to a click track.
Final question, unless Matt has another final question. So like as a duo, do you guys ever get songs stuck in your head that you then have to decide that you have to learn to get it out of your head?
Yeah, recently John Moxley's theme from AEW, All Elite Wrestling, former AEW world champion, his theme song is incredible. And
It's in my
Mabel,
head right now. Yeah.
yeah, and Mabel learned it on baritone guitar, and the drums are really, really simplistic. So it's just, that's an incredible song.
That needs to be
When you hear a good
recorded
noise rock song.
as like a bonus track in the next Complainer release. That would be awesome.
We are joking around about using it as a sound check for shows in the future so that we can like root out like secret wrestling fans who like come up with us like, because most wrestling fans are wrestling fans in secret.
So like a nice wrestling dog whistle.
Exactly.
I would not have expected that answer. That's awesome.
Yeah, look it up. John Moxley theme, AEW. It is chef kiss. I'm telling you. It's good. Once you hear it, you'll be like, oh shit. Like you'll immediately lift weights. Like the nearest.
Beavis and Butthead headbang for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, let me tell you, brother.
Hey, if we're talking noise rock, that's a noise rock song for sure.
All right. Actually, I'll eat into my own bathroom time to ask this. It's not even a question, but I've had this idea brewing for a while, and I'll throw it at the collective here. And you don't feel free to not respond if you think it's the dumbest idea ever. But I thought, what if there was a Complainer Imelda Marcos double duo record where there's 2 drums and 2 saxophones improvising it out?
Two drums and 2 saxophones.
I can fake alto saxophone fairly not shittily.
If you can't tell from, I'm sure, just Googling our albums, we love crazy collaborations like that. Let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
All right, Matt, if you don't like it, you can tell me at practice tomorrow.
No, I'm down, man. Sign me up.
What do you want to do? Do you want to do alto with me and Mabel play with Matt, or like how do you want to organize it? Do you want us each to just make something and bring it to the table, or?
That's a good question. I hadn't thought about the details. I mean, I guess initially I was thinking just like a 4-way free-for-all with some kind of parameters in place to help organize things. But yeah, I'm not sure. That's a great question.
You and I should hash out. Maybe we can do different configurations for like
Yes.
each song, so that there's like some textural differences from piece to piece. So it's maybe fun to listen to for other people, other than us.
All right. Yeah, cool.
Do you usually go into your collaborations with like a plan, or is it like how?
Yeah.
Yeah, always a plan.
Yeah. Kurt Oren will even tell you, even Fuck Lungs is like, I just basically have a list of demands. I have a list of ideas, and Kurt just basically carries them out, and that's how that band operates. But in the past, yeah, I just find it to be really fun to like set up sort of parameters. Yeah, maybe I'm just like really into games, so I really like rules. Like I really like different rules for different things.
Constraints are totally useful. And like the way you put it, list of demands, that sounds awesome. So we'll figure out a list of demands and we'll see what happens. All righty. Yep. Well, Mabel, Joe, Matt, thanks so much for doing this. This has been a blast. Like, it's unfortunate that we weren't able to come to St. Louis in 2020 and hang with everyone. But like, this is a decent placeholder, and hopefully things will get unfucked and we'll get to hang out sometime.
I feel strongly that post-pandemic there will be a nationwide surge in art and music. I think some of it will be premature. I think a lot of people are going to be so desperate that there are going to be shows again really soon before it's safe. We're already catching people kind of like doing parties and shit in St. Louis, which it sucks so much to see. It makes me so angry because it makes it harder on everybody who's being safe when you do those things and when you advertise them and show them. And but yeah, I think post-pandemic, where there is a huge opportunity for anyone who makes art and music to enter back into the community. And I think it's going to be really important, like as soon as shows start up again, for everyone who's involved to try and make things more diverse. I think there's an enormous opportunity for a reset in the performing arts community throughout the country. And I hope that a lot of people are contemplating that and thinking about elevating what they do and ways they can elevate what other people can do, because there will never be another chance like this in our lifetimes. We're living through something that's a chapter in a history book 30 years from now.
There could be a COVID sequel.
There could be, but I guarantee that we'll be better prepared for it as a
Can we just
society.
skip right to the
I would hope so.
third movie where there's a time travel aspect where we can kind of circumvent some of this stuff?
Yeah. Let's just make so many sequels that we get to the shitty sixth movie that has time travel that undoes most of it.
Yeah, so like Avengers Endgame. Got it. Sounds fantastic. Hey, a closing note, for the record, I shouldn't say this. Imelda will play your St. Louis COVID party if you want us to. I'm kidding. Please don't cancel me for saying that.
Hey, I know you have another pod to get to, but Mabel was talking about something that she wanted to mention to you based on another one of your podcasts.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah, sure.
You're joking about having like your own festival for the Asian musicians, and the only show offer we have gotten this entire pandemic is an email from someone named Kublai Kwan about a fest called Joy Ruckus. And let me just pull it up here.
You mean Joy Ruckus?
Joy Ruckus.
Oh, Joy Ruckus. Okay.
He was making a joke, dear.
Oh yeah, very good. Joy Ruckus Club is the largest Asian American virtual music festival in the world. A humanitarian-oriented online concert series led by artists of Asian descent, Joy Ruckus Club is a revolution in Asian American music. Not silent, not complacent, not foreign. Joy Ruckus Club is a society of woke Asians raised in America who are in solidarity with all truthfully progressive movements of the oppressed and conquered. So if you're interested,
I gotta look this up now.
Out there.
Yeah.
Right, so I was complaining for nothing then. So there is a festival for Asian American musicians. So it's better than none. All right, I have to get going. But thank you so much for joining us. We love you guys, and we will see you in the future.
Stay safe, guys.
And Matt, thanks for putting up with my bullshit. See you tomorrow, brother.
All right, later, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.